Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. As always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy Wednesday to you and yours. Hope everybody is having a great hump day. Whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or watching abroad, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Like and subscribe. Share all the stuff that we're doing here on social media with you and yours. Subscribe. Hit that notifications bell as well so you can get in on the conversation. Shout out to my guy Dolan. Nice win for the Rays and the Bolts. Yes, it is a victory Wednesday, and RIP Val Kilmer. That is for sure. What a show that we have lined up for you today. This is what we do here on the Recher podcast. We're continuing with the top tier guests, and we'll start at 12:20 today. Corey Braun, number 31 in your programs, number 1 in your heart. This southpaw for the USF Bulls, the ace. You see him slinging it every Friday night for the green and gold. He is on fire. And I cannot wait to chat with this young man because he sets the tone for the Bulls and what Mitch Hannes has going on there at Red McEwen Field. They're on the road this weekend. Another win last night against Bethune-Cookman. Corey Braun is one of those guys that has made you, if you're a USF baseball fan, feel real good about what their future is going to look like, not just in the conference, but also in the postseason, man. Can we see some postseason baseball with the Bulls? You never No. 12:40 today, the one and only Denard Span joins us on the program. D-Span, the man, the living legend, the Tampa Catholic graduate, former big leaguer. He's going to join us on the program to talk about torpedo bats. And also, if you follow him on social media, and I suggest that you guys do because he's turned in. I was having this conversation with him last night. He is one of the best. Like, he's just a down-to-earth, great human being all the way around. We're going to talk about the transition from being a pro athlete to kind of that next level. Like, what do you do now in this next stage of your life? We had this conversation with Matt Joyce a couple of days ago, and we're going to do it again today with Denard Span. He put out a really good video on social media, and he was getting a lot of love from people around the country, including our pal Xavier Scruggs as well. So Denard joins us at 12:40. At 1:05, Tampa Bay Rowdies president Ryan Helfrick is going to join us on the program. The 50th anniversary for our Rowdies. One more road game this weekend before they return home next Saturday against Loudoun United. First game at Al Lang since the Storms hit here last year. I cannot wait to be there at Al Lang. I hope you guys will be there too. Then at 1:30, Logan Robinson is going to join us. Logan does a little bit of everything, man, covering the Bucks for Bucks Game Day on Sports Illustrated. He does Knowles Game Day as well. This is another guy that is really plugged in with a lot of different things, not just here in the Tampa Bay area, but the entire state of Florida. And, of course, we know the Rays with the matinee affair today, and it is a good one as Ryan Pepio gets his second start of the season, and he'll take on Paul Skeens. Is there a more popular pitcher in baseball right now? I mean, I guess you'd probably say Ohtani, but Skeens has got to be up there. But these are two teams in two different places, to be honest with you. The Pirates 1-5 after 6 games. The Rays 4-1. All 30 teams are playing for the first time this year. So that's really exciting too, to be able to see every team playing for the first time this season on this Wednesday here in Major League Baseball. Another solid win. Again, I mentioned when we start the show, it's a victory Wednesday. A victory Wednesday here on the Recher podcast. And when you look at what the Rays were able to do yesterday, I don't think the Rays could have a better start than what they're having right now. When you look at not just that fact that they are winning, but how they're winning. This is the recipe for success that we spoke about before the season even started. You need to get contributions up and down your lineup. You're going to have to get contributions from maybe guys that you didn't expect, and you just need to throw the baseball well. Your pitchers, if this is what your strength is, pitching and defense, all right, well, let's see it. And that's exactly what you saw again last night as the Rays beat the Pirates 7-0. They kicked the extra point. Shane Baz in his start against the team that originally drafted him, and he really showed them what they're missing. Just think back at that deal. My goodness. Tyler Glasnow, Austin Meadows, and Shane Baz, who was the player to be named later for Chris Archer. The Rays won that one in a big way. Baz, 6 scoreless innings last night, 7 hits, 10 strikeouts, and once again, most importantly, no walks. And you see Mason Montgomery come in there in the 9th, striking out the side. That dude throws absolute gasolina. So that's what the Rays need to do. They need to pitch. They need to play defense. A flawless game in the field as well. 2 double plays from Walls to Lau to Mead, and then Caminero to Lau to Mead. That's what you want to see. And then offensively, 6 of the 9 guys in the starting lineup get hits, including Mangum again, 3 for 4. He's got to be the best story in baseball this early this season. Because, yeah, I know, and Eugenio Suarez hit the grand slam last night against the Yankees. He's got, 5 home runs and 10 RBIs. We know what Tyler O'Neill did again on opening day. When you talk about all the stories in Major League Baseball, I don't know if there's a better one than what's going on in this Rays outfield with Cam Meisner picking up another knock as well last night, and Mangum 3 for 4 to lift his average on the season to 636. This guy was batting cleanup last night, protecting Junior Caminero in the order. You love to see it. And listen, whoever it is, I mean, good to see DeLuca with a knock yesterday. A big triple came in to score as well. 385 on the season. We thought, all right, this is what the outfield's going to be, but listen, the best players are going to play. And when you look at Yandy Diaz, I know he did have a hit last night, but he's only batting 136. Curtis Means still yet to get a hit this season. Same thing with Danny Jansen. You need other guys to be able to step up. And it sometimes has to be the younger guys, and then it sometimes has to be the veterans. And Brandon Lau stepped up once again, 3 for 4, hit his 2nd home run of the year, a 2-run ding dong. Also had another run scored, 3 RBIs total, and a walk. His OPS over 1,000. Same thing with Mangum. You couldn't ask for a better start for the Tampa Bay Rays, but it doesn't get easier as you take on Paul Skeens. You're facing them during the day. So it's like, oh, man, I hope that there's no shadows. I hope that there's nothing crazy going on. I just hope that they can see the ball well and try to put the ball in play. When you face a guy that is so freaking talented like Paul Skeens, you have to get him early, because if you don't get him early, it may be a long day for you. So those at-bats in the first, and sometimes it's not just, getting hits. Sometimes it's long at-bats. It's a Yandy going up there, and you don't want to go 3 up, 3 down. You first play contact, weak contact, and get out. You want a couple of your guys that first time through the order, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitch at-bats. Work the count. Make sure that if you see all the pitches that he has in his repertoire, so do the guys behind you. If the guys behind you can see, oh, well, the fastball's working today. Oh, the slider's not working. Or you go up there and you try to start eliminating pitches, because if you can't do that against a guy like Paul Skeens and he has all 4 of his pitches working, it could be a long day. So this will be a true test for all those people that look out at the Tampa Bay Rays and go, oh, well, but look at their competition. They're not doing this, and this guy's not doing well. His wins are wins. You can only take care of the business that's right in front of you. And when you're facing a guy like Paul Skeens, you have to have intelligent ABs. You have to have productive ABs. If you're going to bunt, you got to get the bunts down. If you ever run around second with nobody out, you got to find a way to get that dude to third base any way possible. Ground ball to second base. I don't care if it's a 67 chopper to the second baseman in Pittsburgh. Do what you have to do to find a way to move guys. Move the baseball, move the runners. Let's get to the starting lineups for the game today. And it looks like a pretty standard lineup for Pittsburgh. Adam Frazier is going to bat leadoff. He's going to play second base. You got Brian Reynolds, the designated hitter, bats second. O'Neal Cruz bats third. He'll be in center field today. Tommy Pham in left field bats cleanup. Jack Sawinski bats fifth. He'll be in right field. Cabrian Hayes plays third. He'll be batting sixth. Doing the catching behind the plate, it'll be Endy Rodriguez, number 5, the switch hitter from the Dominican Republic. So he is in there today. He'll be batting. Excuse me, I got the wrong thing. He'll be batting 7th. Triolo, the first baseman, Jared, will bat 8th. And then the do-it-all, shortstop, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, the former Yankees infielder, he'll bat 9th. For your Tampa Bay Rays, Yandy Diaz will get the start. He will be the designated hitter today. Brandon Lau, the second baseman, will bat 2nd. Jake Mangum, can't take him out of the lineup. No, you cannot. He's batting 3rd. He'll be in left field. Junior Caminero batting cleanup today. He'll play 3rd. Jonathan Aranda will be at first base, batting 5th. Jose Caballero bats 6th. He's in right field. Taylor Walls, the shortstop, bats 7th. Ben Rortfed will bat 8th and do the catching. And then Johnny DeLuca will man center field and bat 9th. Paul Skeens, 0-0 with a 3.38 ERA, 7 punch-outs in his first start of the season. Ryan Pepio, also 0-0 with a 1.5 ERA, 8 strikeouts in his first start of the season. They weren't the only Tampa Bay team that won last night. We take a look at our Tampa Bay Lightning up there at UBS Arena on Long Island in Elmont. 4-1 victory, a 4-game winning streak for the Bolts. And Nikita Kucherov, 2 assists, extends his point streak to 9 games. The Bolts keeping pace, making sure that whatever happens with Toronto and Florida, I know they face off tonight, you just got to take care of your business. You face each one of those teams at home, so you, in a way, control your own destiny, be smart, and you get a goal from Oliver Bjorkstrand. 7th guy on this team with 20 goals, and we know not all of them came with the Bolts, coming over via the trade right before the trade deadline with the Seattle Kraken. But Radish gets a point, Point gets a point. Bo Horvat ties it up, and then the Lightning just economical. Jake Gensel with his 38th of the season. What a find from Nikita Kucherov in the left corner. Swiped the puck so quickly to Gensel standing all alone in front. Hetty with a huge insurance goal to make it 3-1. And then Nick Paul, the new dad, with the empty netter with just, 3:31 left in the third period to make it 4-1. Put the kibosh on that game. And the Lightning have to be feeling pretty good about themselves. And you know what's coming in front of you. You have Ottawa. When you play this Ottawa Senators team, this is a place that the Lightning have had struggles throughout the seasons. Doesn't matter if they're in contention or not. The Lightning just, I don't know what it is. You go up to Ottawa, and it's just they don't have their A game. It's something that they have to fix. They have to be on their A game as they take on the Senators on Thursday night, tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Saturday night, they travel to Buffalo to take on the Sabres. Those games are always wild, high-scoring affairs. You return home, then you go to MSG on Monday against the Rangers before you return home for that final 4-game homestand before that season finale, game number 82, back at MSG against the Rangers, and we'll see if they will be in contention at all. So yeah, I like what I saw from both of the teams last night. I mentioned USF with the win against Bethune-Cookman. So when you can have a full sweep of wins for Team Tampa Bay, you know your chest is puffed out a little bit. You're feeling good when you see the Rays, the Lightning, and USF win. I was actually at the USF game last night. Sebastian Greco hit a home run that probably still hasn't hit the ground yet. And I was watching the Rays game on one side. As soon as the end of the half inning, I was going back to the Lightning game, switching back and forth. Where there is a will, there is a way. And you're going to be able to consume all the content in this time of year when it's getting nuts here in the sports world, right? We have the Final Four coming up this weekend with the women's and the men, obviously the Florida Gators, the whole thing with Bennett Anderson. I know there's a lot of stories being written about our guy Bennett, former Jesuit high product. He just got a $10,000 scholarship from walk-ons. This kid is going viral. He's more viral than Walter Clayton Jr. But yeah, really, really good to see there. And it's always a positive when the highlight is shown on our Tampa Bay area. Now, there was another thing that happened last night that, as a Tampa Bay Lightning supporter, you love to see, and that is PK Subban from ESPN speaking about how Nikita Kucherov is his MVP. Now, another tip of the hat to our guy Evan Klosky from Channel 10. He's been speaking about this a lot the last couple of weeks, and I mentioned on the show yesterday with Bobby the Chief Taylor. Go back and check that out. Not now, but after the program. I truly believe that Nikita Kucherov will not even be a finalist for the MVP this year. unless he does something crazy down the stretch, where in these last, 7 games, 8 games or whatever, he has 20 points and he blows McKinnon's doors off, and it's not even close. He's the clear-cut Art Ross winner. I agree. I agree with PK Subban. I agree with Evan Klosky. Nikita Kucherov should be in the conversation for the Hart Trophy for league MVP. I think he should win it. I thought he should have won it last year, but you guys know that. I was shouting it from the high heavens. But all we heard last season was that it's Nathan McKinnon's turn. And I don't agree with this notion, but there's just something in my gut that makes me feel that Nikita Kucherov might not even be a finalist for the Hart Trophy for league MVP. The narrative is going to be, well, Connor Hellebuyck, it's his time. We haven't had a goalie in a while be the MVP, so it's his turn. And then the other finalists will be Nathan McKinnon and Leon Draisaitl, who has over 50 goals and over 50 assists. And then Nikita Kucherov gets snubbed. Nikita Kucherov gets snubbed. Are you serious? I hate saying that. I hate putting that out into the atmosphere, but I truly believe that that's what's going to happen. Watching the way that these NHL writers stick up their nose to Nikita Kucherov and they think he disrespects the game. And I just go back to Toronto last year. I go back to Toronto where everybody was like coming up to me and saying, what's wrong with Kucherov? Is he okay? Does he hate this? Is this how he is all the time? Like, it was so weird. It was like gossip in a high school cafeteria. And the Cooch is Cooch, man. We've talked about it on the program before. He doesn't like media. He's his own guy. He marches to the beat of his own drum. That's just who he is. And people take that and they let that influence how they vote for postseason awards. Somebody had him 5th, I think, last year in MVP voting. Really? You're telling me that's not personal? I remember sitting down at a Buccaneers game before the game, and 2 prolific writers from the Pro Football Writers Association tell me that regardless of being statistically easily one of the best wide receivers of all time, Terrell Owens didn't get in on the first ballot because of his relationship with his teammates, his relationship with his coaches, and his relationship with the media. I mean, if we're really going to go down the path of, is this guy a good guy? I mean, come on now. Really? Go back into the Hall of Fame, into the 4 major sports, and start perusing through some of these things that these guys have done off the court, off the ice, off the field. It's an argument that you want to use whenever it's convenient to you. That's not right. That's not fair. Could it maybe guide it in a different direction, maybe here or there slightly? Okay. That's your prerogative. But you can't deny that a guy like Terrell Owens should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. Just like you can't deny that Nikita Kucherov should be at the very least a finalist for the Hart Trophy for the league MVP. Every single year, this dude is at the top of the scoring list in the National Hockey League. And I agree with PK Subban. I agree with Evan Klosky from Channel 10 here in Tampa Bay. Nikita Kucherov should be getting a lot more attention and a lot more noise for being in contention for the MVP. But there's just something about it. There's something about the way that the media views him that has me believing that he won't even be a finalist. I was listening to Jeff Marek and Pierre Maguire talking about this, and it was on a podcast, and saying that Nikita Kucherov didn't shoot the puck into the empty net, but John Cooper kind of has to live with it because he does another 20 or 25 things that are it just makes you shake your head in astonishment because the dude is so talented. Regardless of what your personal feelings are towards Kucherov, it's undeniable. He is at the very least, a top 5 player in the NHL. I think he's top 3 this year and last year. I think he's the league MVP. I don't care what everybody else does. I don't care how many other 20 goal scorers that the Lightning have. This is the straw that stirs the drink. And when he plays well, the Lightning are damn near unbeatable. Go check the tape. Check your sheet. All right, let's bring him in. This guy has been dominant pretty much every Friday night for our Bulls. It's the Southpaw, Corey Braun on the program. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thank you so much for taking some time to chat with me today. Big win for you guys last night against Bethune-Cookman. How are the vibes right now for the green and gold? Because, man, you're looking at that series sweep against Tulane and then last night. I mean, it's got to feel good to be wearing that uniform right now.
Yeah, the vibes are amazing. The guys are really gelling well as a team, and, just couldn't ask for better vibes on the team. It's awesome.
You're the guy Friday night sets the tone, man. How much do you like that? Because I think it's cool that, you're playing these 3-game series. You start on Friday night. All eyes are on the Friday night starter. And, it's a big responsibility, man, to be able to get that ball and to be able to toe the slab and to set the tone, especially the way you did it Friday night, throwing that complete game shutout. I mean, what does that mean to you to have that responsibility for this team?
Yeah, I just love going out there and competing. I mean, that's really all it is. And whether I'm the Friday guy or a bullpen arm, it's the same either way. It's just got to look at it the same. It's just going out there and competing. So
that's that mindset, right, Corey?
Yeah.
Like the mindset of, you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You got to make sure that even if you're throwing 1 or 9, you got to have your best stuff, whatever your number is called. What drew you to USF, man? What you kind of looking at your career and a couple of different stops? What made it attractive to you to come here to Tampa to play college ball?
Well, yeah, I'm from Seminole, Florida, which is, about 45 minutes from here. So it just really, I've always wanted to go here, and I got the offer out of the portal and just couldn't turn it down. Close to home, great vibes here. Love Tampa. So
yeah, you can't beat Tampa, man. The weather, right? I mean, you play some of these teams, or they come down here. And I remember Maryland coming here a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, man, you guys must love being here in Tampa, not having to deal with that weather up in that area. What is it like to play for a guy like Coach Mitch Hannes? I've had him on the podcast a couple of months ago. I get a chance to talk to him before games sometimes when I'm doing the radio or TV broadcast. He's a very matter-of-fact kind of guy, man. There's not a lot of fluff, not a lot of BS. He's pretty straight to the point. What is it like playing for a guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. Like, he'll always tell you how it is. He's not going to sugarcoat anything. And one thing him and the other coaches do great is just keeping us uncomfortable at all times. Like, even after you win a big series, you just got to still go out there and practice like you're on a losing streak. Just go out there and practice hard every day.
Yeah, he spoke earlier this season about playing mad, right? How do you see that? And does that change for somebody like you? Because we spoke about the importance of, staying even keel, right? As a pitcher, everything can be going wrong around you, but you're the guy with the ball in your hand. So you got to take that deep breath, regardless of what happened before. You got to dial in. You got to be able to hit your spot, throw the right pitch. So how do you kind of combine that, playing mad? Is that more of a position player kind of thing? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, it all kind of depends on the pitcher. For me personally, it's just I just got to trust my stuff. I work on it all week, throwing bullpens, and I just got to go out there, trust my stuff, and compete.
I love the fact that you are a guy that establishes the middle half of the plate, because there's a lot of guys out there, and I'm sure you can tell this too as a pitcher. When a guy, especially when he doesn't have his stuff, or maybe when he gets knocked around a little bit, they're like, all right, well, I'm not getting back in the kitchen. I'm going to stay away. And then they start nibbling. And then, either they leave one over the middle of the plate or they start walking guys. How important is it for you to be able to establish that inner half and to just stay aggressive, even when maybe you have an at bat or two when things aren't going your way?
Yeah, I just kind of always feel like I have to establish just a part in the zone and just make them hit the ball, make them earn their hits. It's just walks hurt you, and just throw it in there and let them hit it. That's really all it is.
What was working for you Friday night against Tulane?
I really had all my pitches.
How long does it take for you to realize that? How long, is it something where you know it in the bullpen? Is it something where, it's in the first inning? When do you know? Because you've had some really good starts this year, but a complete game shutout, I don't care what level it is, man, that is something to really be proud of. But when do you know, oh man, regardless of what count it is, because that's what I love about your game, you get 2-1 on a hitter, it doesn't mean a fastball is coming either. You'll double up, you'll throw a back-to-back breaking ball, and that's why I love watching you pitch, because you're a pitcher, you're not just a thrower. So when do you know? At what point do you look at it and go, man, my stuff, I got everything today?
Yeah, it's just really the first inning. That's when I throw all the pitches, and then I like see how I feel for it. That's really just it.
What's the difference between when Daniel Schlereth goes out there, pitching coach, done a really good job, and then Coach Mitch Hannahs? I've noticed that this year where, Schlereth does the most of the, I guess if it's like mechanical and the pitching changes, but every once in a while, Coach Hannahs goes out there and talks to, and I don't know if it's just the pitchers, I don't know if it's the infield. Can you give us a little peek? Like, obviously, you're not giving away trade secrets here, but when he goes out there, I know it catches my interest, so I'm sure, you guys go, oh, what's Coach doing?
Yeah, he just kind of just goes out there to calm you down more. Just, you see him coming out. It's a little scary at first, but it's just mainly to calm you down, get you in the right mindset again.
I love that, man. I want to ask you about Bryce Archie. This is a guy that, I was watching him, and a lot of people here in the Tampa Bay area watching him playing football last year, playing quarterback after Byron Brown went down. He was a guy that I remember talking to Coach Hannahs before the season. Yeah, he's just going to be a midweek guy. And now he's contributing on the weekends. I mean, what is it like to have a guy on the staff there? He's still so raw, right? At times he's a 1 or 2 pitch pitcher, but I mean, he's unflappable. Bases loaded, no big deal. I'm just going to throw 95. It don't matter. What is it like to be able to be on a staff with that guy and to be able to see him do his thing?
Yeah, I mean, he's awesome. Like, he's a great teammate, first of all, and his stuff's amazing. So it's a great guy to have on the staff, just all that stuff.
Yeah, he's a little bit different than some of the other guys that you have, right?
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of pitchers. What is that like with so many different pitchers? And watching the game last night and seeing some guys that we haven't seen so much of. What is that like? Because it's a large group that you guys have there. What's that bond? What's that continuity like with the guys on the pitching staff?
Yeah, I think we have great chemistry as a staff as a whole. Everybody knows that their role pretty much now, and they just need to go out there and throw strikes and get outs. I mean, that's really all it is.
There's a consistency now with the lineup. It hasn't been much of a change because, you look at the outfield. Like it's Jackson, it's Pruitt, it's Brodell out there, and just a couple of switches maybe here or there. Lance is. I'll ask you about the inside the park home run here in a second. But what is it like to have knowing who's going to be behind you? Matt's kind of settled in a little bit at third now. You got Carlos is coming at second. Brad Key and Greco, 2 Tampa kids playing short and first. What is it like knowing that you have a pretty similar, 7 guys behind you and catcher in front of you?
Yeah, it's just great always having the same guys out there because you establish a trust with them, and that's just awesome, Yeah.
Lance Triple, this guy, yesterday hits an inside the park home run. One of my favorite things about sports, Corey, is when you see guys do things that you're not used to seeing them do. When you see like an offensive lineman score a touchdown, or you see a big center that can't shoot in basketball hit a 3. When you see a catcher rumbling, bumbling, stumbling around them, and he can run a little bit. Don't get me wrong, Lance can run a little bit, but to see your guy, your backstop, run all the way around the bases and get an inside the park home run yesterday, what was that like for you and your guys?
Yeah, that definitely fired the dugout up. That was awesome. You don't see that often. So especially Lance doing it, big team guy. It's just awesome to see it. He brings a lot of energy too. It's just great.
He's a guy, man. He's really like one of the unsung heroes of the team. Like he's back there a ton. Like he catches all 3 games. Like he's a beast back there. What is it like knowing that you're playing well right now and now you're going on the road? Because you have, and we see this with softball too, you're stacked early with those home games because there's teams in your conference that obviously can't play at home that early. How do you guys take what you've done so well so far and take it to this weekend, knowing like, all right, now this schedule in the conference is really going to kick up. Nobody's going to care what happened last week against Tulane. You got to look forward. How do you bring that performance and that type of mindset into the game this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's just how we practice. We know it's always tough playing on the road, but it's just got to keep it the same. And when we go down there Thursday and practice, we got to lock in on everything we need to have success on the weekend.
What's your daily repertoire? So like, what is your schedule now? So, like you told me, it doesn't matter where you throw, you're going to give your best effort. But now that you've kind of locked in, because I know pitchers, man, I grew up, I coached ball for almost 10 years. I know pitchers, you guys, especially left-handed pitchers, man, you guys, you got your routine. You got to be able to make sure that everything is lockstep. What is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday like for you before you get into the start on Friday?
Yeah, so Monday and Tuesday are just mostly recovery days, lift days for me. And, Wednesday today, I'm going to end up throwing my pen. And then Thursday, just rest up and get ready to throw on Friday.
How many pitches for your bullpen today?
About 25.
25. Okay. And is that how much is out of the windup? How much is out of the stretch? And are you working on all your pitches too?
Yeah, about half and half in each, and then just throw all the pitches, see what feels good, whatever doesn't, work on it more.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I think that's an important thing when you talk about pitchers. There's just such a routine, throughout the week especially when you have an idea. Can you imagine how it is too, like for guys that are like relievers? Because I just always think that it's such people don't talk about that enough, right? When you're a relief pitcher, it's like you could go a week without pitching. And then you could pitch every day. Then you could pitch every other day. And then you could pitch in the second inning. You pitch in the seventh inning. Like, talk about that mindset to just be like, hey, man, you got to be willing to go 100 miles an hour for maybe 3 batters, maybe 1. You never know.
Yeah, that's what makes it tough being in that spot is you might not throw for 2-3 weeks, and then your name gets called and they expect you to go out there and be the same guy you were. It's just all work ethic there, and you just got to keep your head down and work. Just make sure you get
it's not ever like easy too. So it's not like, oh yeah, you got a clean inning, come in the top of the 8th, you got a 5-run lead. No, it's like, hey, the guy before you just walked 3 guys. It's bases loaded, nobody out. You guys are up by 1. Here's the ball. Just like, it's not for the faint of heart, man. It really isn't. What do you like to do, Corey, outside the baseball field, man? When you're home and you're just chilling and you're away from the game, what do you like to do for fun?
Yeah, I like to go golfing and go fishing a lot, but haven't got to do a lot of that lately just with how busy we've been, but yeah.
Are you a lefty golfer or a righty golfer?
I'm a righty.
Yes. See, it's funny because I know a lot of guys, like my brother's the opposite. He throws right-handed and he golfs lefty. My dad's the same way. But a lot of left-handed guys that I know, they golf righty. Was that just because it was easier to find clubs that way, or was that what you hit in baseball growing up?
No, I hit baseballs lefty, but it was just, finding lefty clubs growing up was almost impossible. So
my brother got hand-me-down clubs from my uncle, but that's the only way that he was able to stay lefty. So yeah, I definitely feel your pain there. If your car broke down in the middle of the night, who's the one teammate that you're calling to pick you up?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to say Jorge.
Hey, Cardenas. Yeah. He's another guy, right? I mean, when he's come in, it's so weird. Coach Mitch Hannes has gotten into this thing where it's like after you, there's almost like the Rays do it with an opener, and then these guys come in. And Jorge has been he's got some pretty electric stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah. His changeup is really good, and with that heater touching 95, like you can't beat that.
Yeah, it was so funny because he was just so backwards. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was just like he couldn't throw a first pitch strike at all. And then he would just throw strikes the rest of the time. So you don't want to ever fall behind, but you fall behind 1-0, and then boom, 3 pitches strike a guy out, or 2 pitches get a guy to ground out. And I'm like, he just doesn't. Who works the fastest? Is he one of the guys that works the fastest, you think?
Yeah, I would say either him or James Hill, probably.
Yeah, because I remember when Jorge was pitching, I was doing the radio call. I think it was 2 weeks ago. And I missed the first pitch of the inning like 3 times because he did like 3 or 4 moments. He's like, all right, let's go. I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like you gotta pump the brake, you gotta chill. But hey, whatever works, man. Whatever works for him. Who is that, I guess, one teammate? Like who's some of your guys that you kind of go to for whether it's advice, whether you bounce ideas off of? What's that group like, between you and some of the pitchers?
Yeah, I would say probably Corbin Little and Caleb Punsack are 2 guys that you just always go to. Big glue guys, just all about the team.
Just lefties, the lefty love.
Both the lefties.
How cool was it to see? So Corbin last night got a chance to pitch, and I think was that his second appearance last night, or second or third?
Yes.
Yeah. So last night I'm up there and I'm up top. And his mom, I think it was his mom up there. She had a little shirt on the back, and she was pacing. I'm not going to guess. It definitely was his mom. You don't pace like that unless it's your son. And she was so like nervous, and I was so happy. And I walked by her at the end of the night and said, "Your son did a great job." And she was so happy. I mean, what is that like to have friends and family, like that nervousness, even after the game, like when you're all done? Like, what is it like to have that type of support? Because when you're a pitcher, it's completely different than maybe any other. It's not like, oh, you had a bad at bat. Don't worry, you did a good job in the field. it's a zero sum. It's black or white sometimes for pitching. What has that support been like for you over the years?
Yeah, I've had great support with my parents, grandparents, and friends and everything. And yeah, I've definitely heard stories of my dad pacing up and down in close outings and stuff. It's funny to hear.
What before I let you go, man, and thank you so much for your time. What's kind of the goal now? Do you guys talk about how well you're playing? Is it just you kind of keep your head down? Do you get ever in a spot where you're looking ahead, like, because the team didn't make the postseason last year. So do you talk about that, any kind of stuff? Do you allow yourself to think big picture at all, or is it pretty much one day at a time?
Yeah, we've just been keeping it one day at a time. Just go out and win the next game. That's all you can really think about. So
it's exciting, man. It's exciting. Do you feel the energy? Like, you see the football team there, you see the lacrosse team there. Like, what is it like to be a member of the USF Athletics? Michael Kelly does such a good job of bringing everybody together. I mean, do you feel that support? Do you feel that love on campus and off campus?
Yeah, the support's amazing with all the teams. It's awesome. You really can't beat it.
You can't beat it, and it's really tough to beat you on Friday nights, my friend. Corey Braun, left-hander for USF. This wasn't that bad, right? We had a good time. We had a good time talking ball, man. I mean, it helps that I coached for a while, too, and, I do some radio and TV with you guys. But, Corey, man, you are a great representative of the USF athletic program, man. It is so fun to watch you pitch. Stay aggressive, man. Stay aggressive. Keep busting those guys in on the hands. Trust your defense, and the sky's the limit for you and this team. I appreciate your time. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll see you soon around Red.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy. Good stuff there. Corey Braun, man, all over it. Go watch this kid pitch, whether it's an ESPN Plus performance this weekend or the next time they're home. Go watch this guy do his thing, because it is fun to watch him attack these hitters. And before he's ahead. It's every batter's 0-1. Every batter's 0-2. And when you look at these guys that pitch for USF, and shout out to Brad Lord, who got the call. He's with the Washington Nationals. Ryan Kirkering, we know, is with the Philadelphia Phillies. Shane McClanahan, it's only a matter of time before he's back with the Rays. Luckily, that nerve damage wasn't too bad. There is a lot of good pitchers that have come down the pike for the University of South Florida. And if you're a guy like Corey Braun, I mean, he may not admit it, but it'd be hard not to look at those guys and think that could be me, right? Your goal is to play in the big leagues, right? When you're a kid, you're in that backyard. When you're pitching to your dad, when you're hitting home runs, like, you dream of doing that in the World Series. The majority of the guys that are playing at this level, especially when they're that good, like, you can't be as good as Corey Braun and not think that, oh my gosh, I can do this at the next level. He is that damn efficient. I love what he does. He's a lefty, man. Those lefties, they find a way, and he's just going to keep getting better and better and better. And under the tutelage of pitching coach Daniel Schlereth and head coach Mitch Hannes, I have so much confidence in this group going forward. And to be fair, to be honest, they didn't really play all that well last night against Bethune-Cookman. They didn't. And that was a game maybe in years past that they lose. Inferior opponent, you're coming off of the high of sweeping Tulane, a team that was picked 4 spots ahead of you in the conference before the season. It's just a natural letdown. And that's what I love about Mitch Hannes, is sometimes coaches are so stubborn that they think, like, you're going to have the same effort against regardless of the opponent. That may be your goal. You may try to be consistent. You may try to think that playing the last team in the conference in Florida State, you're going to be the exact same, and the emotions are going to be the same. The energy is going to be the same. The fire is going to be the same. It's not realistic. It doesn't happen like that. It doesn't. Just watch the games between the Lightning and the Leafs, the Rays and the Yankees, the Bucks and the Saints, right? I mean, come on. Yeah, you might give the same effort, but the energy is not the same. It's completely different. But the key is when you don't have that, and you have to kind of manufacture a little bit of that gusto, how do you as a coach bring your team out of it? How do you as a coach get your guys in a position where it's like, hey, we may not have our game here, but let's find different ways to be able to contribute. Let's find different ways to be able to put our best foot forward. Speaking about putting their best foot forward, this guy tends to do that pretty much all the time. It's our good friend, Denard Span. D-Span, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. What's going on, bro?
Nothing much, man. So great to see you and so great to talk to you and catch up. I want to ask you a little bit about that. I just talked to Corey Braun for USF. This kid is dealing right now. Lefty, Friday night starter. He's been fantastic. And, it's the job as the pitcher to stay even keel, but I think a manager does a good job or a head coach does a good job knowing when, hey, the energy may not be there, but how do you find a way to lead your team to victory? Because, like, let's say yourself, right? You're playing for the Twins. Who were your biggest rivals when you were there in Minnesota?
I would say early on the White Sox.
So White Sox, right? So when you're playing those guys, big 3-game series, emotions are high, whatever happens, Monday comes around, you're playing a team that's not in your division. You may be playing a team in the NL West that you never see. You may think, yeah, you're going to bring the same effort to the table, but it's just the energy is not the same. So I think that the best managers and the best teams find a way on that Monday to be able to win the game, even if it's ugly. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the best managers, the best leaders, they find a way to challenge and motivate their team, in situations where, there really, quite frankly, may not be any motivation, because it's maybe not, a huge rivalry game or maybe not a lot that's, that's relying on this game. So they find a way, like I said, to nitpick at or challenge them by nitpicking maybe. And challenging them to, maybe do something that they've never done before to maybe, increase or heighten, their focus going into that particular ball game.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the great thing about baseball, man. The ups and downs, the everyday type of thing. Because it's like, it's like working, right? It's like the heartbeat of America. I said baseball is the heartbeat of America. Whether you go 4 for 4, 0 for 4, you got to dust off. You got to get to work the next day, and you got to just go back at it again. But there is nothing quite like opening day. And the Rays obviously opening up, last week with an incredible walk-off home run from Cam Meisner. But just think back to your, experiences in opening day. What is that like when you wake up in the morning knowing that you're going to play the first game of the season? This one is going to count.
I can tell you it's a similar feeling that, that all little leaguers have. Mm-hmm. And whether you're in high school or whatever level it is, it's just the excitement of, strapping them up and playing a meaningful game and, starting a new season. And like I said, whether you're at T-ball all the way up into college to pro ball, it's the same, just atmosphere and feeling, knowing that you're about to, start a new season. And so, yeah, and for me, like, it never got old. No matter whether it was my 10th one in the big leagues or my first one, all of them are special.
And it's kind of crazy, even for me, to still see the Rays playing outside, right? Just like, yeah, Steinbrenner Field, they've had a good start to the season. But, I mean, what do you think is the biggest adjustment for these guys playing, for years outside to now playing inside for years and now playing outside? Because I know they do play outside, in spring training. But yeah, I think the emotion, right? The different energy that you have for a regular season game compared to a little bit more of a laid back atmosphere for spring training. You as an outfielder, what would be the biggest adjustment for you?
Honestly, I think it'd be easier, playing outdoors versus indoors. Obviously when you're indoors and you're playing at the Trop, you have the ultimate advantage, just from the standpoint of, knowing, all the nooks and crannies in the dome, knowing, all of the blind spots on a fly ball during a day game. So now, that is eliminated now, you know what I mean? Because, you're playing outdoors now and 98% of pretty much all teams play outdoors other than the Rays and the Blue Jays. And so you kind of lose that advantage. But, I think, but then you factor in, like you said, like baseball has not been played outside in Tampa since this team has been here. So, you bring a level of excitement. The fans, I have a feeling, are going to, continue to support the team, given that it is in Tampa, and they are playing outdoors, especially early on in the season. Obviously, it's going to be interesting and challenging as the season goes along when it gets very hot and humid. It's going to be interesting to see how Kevin Cash and just the sports science department, the way they go about protecting players as far as being tired and the hydration part of things, and just monitoring their workloads and stuff like that. But it's been fun this first week, watching them play. That's for sure.
Yeah, the hydration is big. I really truly believe that that's going to be something that I don't even know if they know, right? I don't. There's certain things that happen in baseball, and that you could have a bunch of scientists and you have all these different things, but I just there's I mean, I got to just from coaching, man. You walk in the house after a full day outside of baseball in the summer in Tampa, and you walk in the house and you're just like, I can melt into my couch like a slab of butter on a baked potato right now. And I really hope that that's something that they're working on going forward. I'm sure they are, but I want to ask you about a guy like Junior Caminero. And I wanted to ask you do you think that there's pressure on him this year? He's 21 years old. He's batting in the middle of the lineup. He just did his thing in winter ball. Albert Pujols is singing his praises. I don't know if I'm worried about the pressure when it comes to a guy like Junior Caminero. I feel like you don't bat a guy that's what it is. This is what you signed up for. They're not easing him into it. He's not like, all right, well, you're going to spot play here and you're going to bat seventh, or you're only going to hit against lefties. I don't know if we should worry about pressure if you're batting in the middle of the lineup playing third every day. That just kind of comes with the territory, no?
Yeah, obviously we can't, speak for him and know what he's going through, but if I'm in that clubhouse or in that organization, I'm preaching to him, not to have pressure on yourself, and just do what you've always done, up through the ranks and through the minor leagues, and there's not, generally speaking, a lot of pressure when you play, for the Rays. The expectations are, not like you're in New York or Boston. So, everybody understands that he's a great talent and he has a future, that is going to, only continue to rise, and his ceiling is high and all those things. But, if I'm, once again, if I'm on that staff, I'm trying to make him feel as comfortable and as loose as possible, and just, know that, hey, we trust you and you're going to get every crack at this. Right. You are the guy, not to put that type of pressure on you, but just, articulating it in a way where it's you have nothing to worry about going down. There's nobody behind you. You are the guy, that we're putting our trust in, and we just want you to go out there and be comfortable and go out there and do what you do.
I want to ask you about that, what you just said, because it doesn't happen to everybody. Some guys have to that's their career. Their career is you got to play well. You got to play well enough to stay up, or you get sent down, or you get sat on the bench. How important is that to get that nod of you can go 0 for 15? You're still going to have your spot in the order, because it's not like that in any other sport. You go ice cold shooting the basketball, man, you're going to be out of the rotation before you know it. In football, if you're not making tackles, if you're not catching the football, if you're throwing interceptions, it's so much different in baseball, where you have to, because the season's so long, you got to ride with guys. You got to go through those valleys. How important was that for you? When was that? Did you get that in your career where you went from a guy that was, all right, I know, because I know you played some corners there with Minnesota, but when they said you're going to be the everyday center fielder, what was that like for you to be able to? Was it a weight lifted off your shoulders? And if it was, what was that feeling quite like?
I remember that time in my career vividly, and even though you're talking about the differences in baseball versus other sports. In baseball, I played with many guys that didn't have a long leash, even though it was a long season. They might have came up from AAA and maybe got 10 at bats.
And people knew, right, Denard? That's the thing is, do you know that as an everyday player? Do you know the guys that are, because you play with Michael Kadire and Mauer and Morneau, you're not worried about those guys. Those guys aren't coming out of the lineup. But no. Did you guys kind of knew, hey, this guy maybe doesn't have that same kind of leash as some of the guys that are? It's pretty much inherent, right?
Yeah, you're not, if if you're a guy or not. You know if you're a top prospect, or if you're established or not. If you're not established or you're not a top prospect, then you have to come in and hit the ground running as soon as that opportunity comes, because you don't know, when that opportunity is going to close. You don't know when, if you're up there filling the gap or filling a spot for somebody who's injured, you don't know when they're going to come back. So you don't know, how long that leash is going to be. But for me, I remember vividly in 2008 was my rookie year. I had a really good season that year. I came onto the scene. I hit 295 and in about 100 games or so, and made a huge impact. But fast forward to the next year, the next spring training, like my mindset was, I felt like I had to make the team, even though that I had, made a huge impact and it was a huge part of the success of the team the year before. I put a lot of pressure on myself that off season and going into spring training that I have to, keep my foot on the gas. I can't get comfortable, you know what I mean? But even though I played really well. And so I remember that spring training, I was, not hitting the ball well. My timing was off, and we were probably halfway through spring training, and I, could have been hitting under 200. And I was literally, stressing out. And I remember, Ron Gardenhire, coming to the end of the bench and standing next to me and kind of, gazing off into the field and having this conversation with me. And he said to me, he looked at me, he goes, "Relax." He goes, "You're on my squad. I just want you to know that." And he just walked off. And that, to me, it was like, it was a breath of fresh air, and it allowed for me to just relax and play the game that, I loved and that I knew I was good at. And so, yeah, so when you're a guy and that, your fate is not, relied upon, 1 week or 1 month or even half the season or maybe even a whole year, yeah, you're able to go out there and just have fun and play baseball.
Do you think that the struggles from the big leagues happen more because of mental shortcomings or physical shortcomings?
Mental, for sure. Because at the big league level, the game is heightened.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the coverage is heightened. The mistakes are magnified. You know what I mean? And you have to, like you said, you have to be able to, take the good with the ugly and the bad. And, because they're going to come. The good, ugly, and bad is going to come. It's inevitable. Like every player has to deal with that. You know what I mean? But the ones that usually, have the downfall or are the ones that cannot bounce back from that and mentally, get themselves ready to play even after they've, had a bad game or had a bad week or a bad month. Because I feel like, once you get to the big leagues, like physically, like everybody has a good swing.
Yeah.
Everybody, has the ability and the attributes to be at that level. Even in AA, like everybody for the most part, and 75% of the guys can throw 95 plus.
Mm-hmm.
75% of the guys can hit the ball opposite field, up the middle, pull the ball with the best of them. Is more to me is just mental. Like, can you show up day in and day out with your game plan and stick to it and not allow that pitcher to or your opponent to dictate what your game plan is and knowing who you are as a player and knowing your strengths and weaknesses. So sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, that's good. That's a great answer. That's the insight that we're looking for, man. That's why you're here. Everybody's got talent, but does everybody have a torpedo bat? That's the thing. What did you make of the whole torpedo bat thing? I thought it was funny because I've seen it before. And I've seen Lindor use one, and then all of a sudden, like the Yankees became the poster child. And I was like, I legit saw Junior have one. Lindor's got one. Like, they're not the only guys that have these bats, but
everybody loves to hate the Yankees.
That's the truth, my friend. That's the truth. What is your take on the torpedo bats? And would that have been a bat that you would have looked into using when you were in the bigs?
I mean, initially when I heard about it was when I saw the Yankees hit those 9 home runs, and initially I was like, they're using what kind of bat? What's going on? Like, you can't be telling me. I was just like everybody else. I couldn't wait to hate on the Yankees. I'm like, they're cheating. That's what is this crap? But honestly, like I still, even right now, a week later, I still don't have enough information or knowledge on these bats. Obviously, I understand the concept of why guys are using them. because these are guys that, obviously get jammed a lot, maybe through cutters, sliders. And so this is, giving them an opportunity to, maybe fist the ball or drive the ball while, hitting the ball, closer to their hands, if you will. But for me, it's still it's too small of a sample size.
Right.
I think we're still in the experimental phase of these bats and seeing, how much they do make a difference, in a game, in an at bat, and for what type of players are, these bats, best utilized and used for. So yeah, it's just a lot of variables that I don't quite know and understand yet.
Yeah, I feel like there's been so many advancements for pitchers over the years, right? So many different pitches you can throw, so many more guys throwing 95, 98, 100, 101. It's nice that the hitters can get a little something, man, a little something. I mean, as a hitter, I'm sure you would, what advantages did you get over time? Was there anything like, what kind of bat did you use? Were you an ash guy, a maple guy? Where were you at?
I usually, and I honestly off the top of my head, I can't remember like the models, but I had two different bats that I used, and usually one against lefties, a different type of bat that, no rhyme or reason. It just, felt different in my hands. But I would go back and forth between these two bats throughout the season because one, was more top heavy, and the other one was more balanced. And so sometimes when I got tired towards the end of the year, I would switch it up just to give give myself a different feel. But at the end of the day, torpedo bat or any kind of bump, bazooka bat or whatever you want to call it, like you still have to be balanced at the plate. You still have to be short to the ball, quick to the ball. You still have to have plate discipline. I don't care what type of bat they give you. I don't even care if they give you PEDs. Like if you don't have those 3 to 4, traits that I just mentioned, you're not going to have much success, even at the big league level.
Yeah, I like that. You got to be able to square it up. That's what Barry Bonds, it's a great conversation. Everybody says this and that, and they go, you still got to be able to hit the ball, man, regardless of what your penalties are.
These don't help with, being able to get in that position that he was able to get in. I mean, consistently. Maybe you can say he was fresher, he was strong, but he still had to get in that position. Like,
yeah,
just because, Joe Schmo on the street takes PEDs, that don't automatically make them a 755 home run guy or whatever.
No doubt about it. Saw a video of you that you just posted on socials yesterday. Yeah, it was really cool, man. And I know our guy Xavier Scruggs mentioned and shouted you out too. And it was kind of about the discussion of, post-career. I had Matt Joyce on earlier this week, and he spoke the same thing. He goes, Jay, like, you don't know what it's like, man, to be making all this money and have these people screaming your name, and all of a sudden it ends. That's it. Like your life's completely different now, and your focus is shifted. What made you talk about that, and also, what has that adjustment been like for you now that it's been a couple years now since you played your last game?
Yeah, I think it was just time. Time heals all things, you know what I mean? And yeah, I can concur and agree with, Matt Joyce, like he said, you go from, essentially being the man, and I still, to this day, I'm still the man. Don't get that twisted for one moment, but being in an arena where, like he said, you got 50,000 people screaming your name and telling you how great you are, and the amount of money that you're making at a young age is more than what most people make in an entire lifetime. You're making that in 1 month, one year. Right. And so go from that to, it's basically cut off, and there's not, a manual or script to be able to deal with that. And I don't care, it's like we were talking about the little league thing, like with opening day and all that stuff, like you'll always, it'll always be memorable, or it's the same feeling. But there's nothing that you can prepare for retirement or that transition. And so for me, I've it's been 5+ years since I played my last game, and I think I'm finally like in the right emotional spiritual space to put myself out there and express via social media like where I'm at in my life and how my life has changed. Even before I stopped playing, my life was beginning to change. I was starting a family, I got married. And, just to, where I am now. And so just, finding different ways to, challenge myself and different ways to validify. I don't know if that's a word, but, what success looks like and where I'm at in my life. And so, it's been a journey over these last 5-6 years of learning, and figuring out, who Denard is outside of the game of baseball. But I'm thankful that I have experienced what I've experienced, and it's made me better, it's made me stronger, and I if anything, I'm sharper, I'm better than I was when I was playing the game. I feel like I'm a triple threat, if you will, just this at this juncture in my life and in my career.
Yeah, I feel like we get to a point, and you said something in that interview, and I try to say that too, and especially after what happened with me not being at iHeart anymore. It's November 4th. I mean, it's for almost 5 months. It's pretty crazy how it's gone after being there 10 years. Now it's been 5 months, but I try to tell people, don't be sad that it's over. Just be happy that we had the time that we did. And, that was what I did. That wasn't who I was.
Right.
And you're the same thing. And as much as you were, a fantastic athlete in a Major League Baseball player, and you got to achieve your dream, at the end of the day, your kids don't care about that. You're their dad. Your wonderful wife Annie, she loves you as a good Christian man, a father and a husband. And I know your mom, how proud she is of you and all the things that you do for people in our community with the Denard Span Foundation. So it is one of those things, right? That kind of I hate to use the term, but like a come to Jesus kind of thing. If that's what I did, that's not who I am.
No, yeah, no question. And it's I mean, there's just more to life, you know what I'm saying, than
right.
Your career and what people know you for. People know you as WDAE, but you are so much more than the guy that's behind the mic on the radio station. The things that you're doing now, you're able to stand tall or sit tall and speak the way you speak because of the experiences that you've been through.
Right.
So you have nothing but to have gratitude in your heart for your time there. What happened was supposed to happen in the way it was supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because now you have, now you're able to, speak on, going through certain situations and be able to, be a light for others and potentially, just transform and change so many lives. So yeah, we are more than what our career is or what people might think we are. Like, it's just so much more depth, to certain people. I feel like if especially if you're in touch with your faith and your Christianity. So yeah, I think I'm proud of you, man. I'll be honest with you.
Thank you, buddy.
And the podcast and how you're just continuing to keep your best foot.
I'm out here grinding, baby. I'm out here grinding. When can everybody find you next? I know you're still working with the
Twins. I'm working with the Twins. Yeah, not working.
No, my friend that works for the Rowdies, my friend Gabby, she's the head of PR. She used to work for the Minnesota team for the MLS. So she's because we have president of the Rowdies, Ryan Helfrick, joining us next, and she just texted me, "Oh my God, Denard Span, yeah, baby, this is how we roll on the program today." So yeah, when are you doing stuff with the Twins broadcast?
Twins, I go on, I believe, April 28th through May 4th. Nice. But I'm actually I'm doing 2 more games in May for USF baseball.
Nice. Okay, I'll probably see you over there.
Yeah, I'll see you at the stadium. It's sometime mid-May. Nice. Off the top of my head, I can't remember, but so yeah, it's about to be a fun and exciting season for sure.
The one and only Denard Span. Make sure you head on over to Denard Span Foundation. Look it up online. See what you can do to help out. We always do, the big event every single year. But DenardSpanFoundation.org, if you want to see what their mission is all about, hooking these single moms here in the Tampa Bay area up with these with these cars. Just watch the videos. Like, it's just it makes your heart melt, man. There ain't no dry eye in the house when you're dealing with that stuff. But Denard, I appreciate you. I love you, and I'll see you next week, my friend.
Yes, sir. All good, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
The one and only Denard Span, the best. Again, DenardSpanFoundation.org, helping single moms here in the Tampa Bay area. I mean, what you do is what you do. It's not who you are. And Denard's such a great example of that and what he is able to do for people in our community. And you just see him. He's just so gracious. You want to talk about grace. Grace is such a great word to describe him, because we're around and we'll have a conversation and somebody will come up and they'll ask for his autograph, and he takes the time. He is a time taker. He sits there and he has conversations with people, and man, it's not a what you know world to who you know world. And to consider a guy like Denard not just a colleague but a friend, it certainly means a lot. He's one of my favorite people. This guy's another one of my favorite people too. The president of our Tampa Bay Rowdies, the one and only Ryan Helfrick. I love that polo, my man. How are things?
Good to be here, Jay. We'll have to get you a polo.
Yeah, buddy. I love it. How weird was it not to be on last week? Just so weird. I even had Lewis on, and I was like leading up to that. I was like, the game's this weekend. I was like, hey, y'all don't play this weekend. That's kind of funky, right? To not play after playing the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, having to buy this early in the season, I wouldn't say it's ideal, but the schedule this year is just a little bit different for us compared to typical years. We usually host a lot of home matches in the month of March, just due to the warm weather climate that we're in. But the league was gracious enough to work with us with all the renovations happening at Al Lang to push our schedule back a bit. And obviously our first home match is coming up here on April 12th. And then we have 7 out of 8 at home. So we need to take care of business.
I cannot wait. I mean, I don't know if I've looked forward to a match more in Rowdies system. Maybe the championship game a couple years ago. We're not talking about that one. But the home opener on April 12th. And again, go to rowdysoccer.com for all the information. I mean, I'm gonna get him. I get emotional talking about it, and it was weird because I was talking to Ollie about it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, he wasn't on the team last year, so it's a little different. But talking to Lewis about it, now talking to you, after what we went through with both of those storms, and to see how it affected our area, to finally, and you guys playing on the road, playing in a different complex last year, what is that going to be like, man? Next Saturday, the 12th. When you finally reopen those doors at Al Lang to get the Rowdies supporters there in the building to cheer on the club?
Jay, it's going to be an experience that I don't even know how it's going to feel, right? When everything hit in September with Hurricane Helene and then back to back with Milton, there was a point we didn't know if we were ever returning to Al Lang. Right. So it's been 7 months since our last home match there. There's been renovations going on at the stadium. We've been hard at work. We've been working, obviously, with our ownership group and then with the city of St. Petersburg. And we're excited to be back home. And for us, the biggest thing was this is our 50th anniversary season. We didn't want to play matches at, another location in the Tampa Bay region. We wanted to make sure that all 17 regular season home matches took place at Al Lang Stadium in downtown St. Pete. I don't know if the emotions are really going to hit until we get to that night, just because everybody's so busy trying to prep the stadium and get things ready. But with it quickly approaching about 10 days out, right, the feelings are starting to come to fruition, and everybody's getting excited, and we're looking forward to having a packed house and keeping Al Lang as a fortress and having that home field advantage and hopefully getting a result that evening.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll text you that day because I want to get there early. I mean, I want to be there early. I want to take pictures and videos, and I'm so jacked up for it, man. And listen, the start of the season, I love the way that the team was able to respond after the first 2 games against Miami. How important was that response in game 3 to pick up those 3 points before that break, before this next game this weekend?
Yeah, I think anytime at the beginning of the season where you can get 3 points on the road, you definitely get excited for it. And I think it's big for the guys. It's big for the team confidence and for the technical staff as well. So to be able to get that win, pick up those 3 points, and then go into the bye week and prepare for a massive matchup this weekend. We're going to Charleston, one of the top clubs in the East. And there's obviously a rivalry there. It's good for the guys. So I think when you look back at the first 3 matches of the season, although the first 2 matches we didn't get the result that we wanted and we dropped points on the road, at the end of the day, when you start looking at the stats, and stats don't win matches, as you know, but we're one of the top clubs in the league right now with shots on frame. So now it's all just about executing it. And as I've told people in the past, right, it's not about how we start the season, it's about how we finish it. But we definitely want to make sure that when we have 7 out of these 8 matches at home starting on April 12th, that we're picking up 3 points, and we start to gain a lot of confidence and momentum heading into these summer months.
Yeah, and I want as many, and I'm selfish. I want as many. I want first place in the East because I want every single playoff game to be at home. I want them all.
I'm with you.
I tell people I'm very selfish when it comes to my Rowdies scheduling. I don't no draws, no losses. I want all wins. I want first place in the East. I want everything smooth sailing. I know that's not realistic, but you guys are going to put your best foot forward. That is no doubt. What have you seen from some of the new faces so far? I mean, obviously we have some, the returners we spoke about the last time we were on, but Ollie and Kim and some of these guys, like what have you seen from some of these new guys and how they've kind of gelled with the team on and off the pitch?
Yeah, I think the team's gelled really well on the pitch, off the pitch. Again, we haven't received the results that we wanted in those first 2 matches. I think there's a lot more to be seen, right? We've seen the explosiveness of Ollie. We've seen how Cammy plays in the midfield position. He's played as a holding midfielder. Last match against Miami, he played as the 10 in more of an attacking role. He had some opportunities. So it's been exciting to see the guys gel. I think, we'll have Leo Fernandez back here soon. We'll have the youngster Endry Mustali back here soon. So we're really looking forward to just having more weapons on the bench. I think the way that Nico and Robbie have really built out this roster has been to make sure that regardless if you're on the bench or you're in the starting 11, everybody's competing for spots and everybody's competing for playing time. And that's only going to help us in the long run.
Yeah, I've dubbed them the core 4 because they've been here the longest. When you look at Leo and Forrest and Aaron and Lewis, right? Yeah, Lewis, Leo, Aaron, and Forrest. There you go. Those 4 guys. The core 4 guys. I mean, what is it like to have guys? Because we know how it is. We know how it goes, right? I mean, sometimes, if there's a lot of turnover, sometimes there's not a lot. But when you have these guys that have been there, the ups and downs, dealing with injuries, their fathers, their husbands, like they're grown men, right? Like how important is it as an extension of the coaching staff, as an extension of kind of just the leadership from the entire club? Like how important is it to have all those guys involved with this team?
Jay, it's huge for us, right? When you look around the league, there's not a lot of players that stay in one location for 5+ years, right? And there's 4 guys right there. I mean, Forrest went to Sweden. He came back. He had opportunities to go elsewhere, but he wanted to be here. And I think that just speaks volumes of the culture that we have within these walls here. And listen, those guys also set the tone at training. They set the tone in the locker room. A lot of the players look up to these guys as leaders. And then I think, like we spoke about maybe even on the last show I was on, these guys are also leaders in the community, right? They're heavily involved. They want to help grow the game. They want to help make sure that individuals who are playing youth soccer in this area, that they have an opportunity to play for their professional team. I know Leo, he helps out in youth soccer a little bit. Each of them have their niches within the community, which has been very beneficial, not only for them as individuals and as leaders of the club, but for the club itself. So they've really helped us with our grassroots approach and just getting people to the stadium and really getting excited for Rowdy soccer. But at the same time, they've set the tone within the locker room and within these walls as well, which is huge for us. And something that a lot of other clubs, maybe outside of Louisville City, just really don't have.
Right. And you said, and it's still kind of a work in progress to get Forrest and Leo kind of back with the first team and starting and things like that. That take a little while. We don't think it's going to be long-term though, right? Probably short-term-ish.
Yeah, I mean, Force has traveled with the team to every match, right? At some point, he's going to start getting some playing time. I think we'll see Leo back here in the next few weeks. So, just takes time with some of these things, but we're excited to get them back. And the most important thing is making sure that they're healthy, right?
No doubt.
As a football fan, how long the season is, right? And you don't want to bring somebody back too soon, and then we're going back through through rehab here the next couple of weeks. So. Yeah,
for sure. What are some of the dates? What are some of the big things that people should be keeping an eye out here? It's the 50th anniversary season. I know we got fireworks. We have special days coming up. I was doing some of the spots the other day for the radio. Yeah, just give us some of the background, some of the events, some of the big things that we have cooking over there at Al Lang that people should get really excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'll go over some of the stadium enhancements that we've done since the Hurricanes hit. So we have a new midfield premium club area for season ticket members that sit over there by the benches in midfield for them to enjoy an experience. So we're definitely excited about that. Several new food and beverage options throughout the stadium, which we're excited for. The team store has actually moved into our former executive offices. So it's about 2,000 square foot of space there that we're gonna have the team store in, that you'll be able to enter from inside the stadium and outside the stadium. So it's about 4 times the amount of size of the former team store. And then on all match days this year, we have the new Michelob Ultra fan zone. So there's activities for adults in there, right? There's drink specials before each match. But there's also non-alcoholic specials for kids and for families and different activations. We'll have a DJ out at every match. And that takes place right outside of Gate 2 on the waterfront. So we're really excited for that. And then there's some different Easter eggs that fans will see throughout the stadium, just really celebrating the 50th anniversary in our history. And then when it comes to the matches, I mean, we have 3 main events that will take place throughout the year, but there will be several different activations taking place in the community. So April 26th, that is 50 years from the day that the Rowdies kicked off in 1975. So that's super cool. We'll have players out here from the original era, from the modern era. We'll have autograph sessions, meet and greets. Then we'll have, we'll be putting on a halftime show and recognizing some of those players. August 16th is going to be a huge one for us. That's the OG Rowdies night. So we'll have the guys out here from the 70s. We'll be inducting an original Rowdy into the 75-10 club. So
I was going to ask you about that. Nice. Okay.
Perry Vanderbeck, Mike Connell, and Keith Savage. One more will be going in, and we'll announce that later in the year. And there's also some really cool activations happening in that match that we'll be announcing here in June or July. If I tell you right now, the comms and marketing team will not be happy with me because there's a reveal coming out for that. And then on October 4th is the Modern Era night. So we're going to be celebrating the guys we know, right? Jeff Antonella, Andre Saranga, Takuya Yamada, Georgie Hristoff, a lot of the guys who have played in the Modern Era, they'll be out for that match. And we'll also have somebody from the Modern Era going into the 75-10 club as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So we have some really unique things going on here. Biggest thing for us right now is just, again, we're so excited to be back at Al Lang. Let's make that place a fortress and really let's make sure we're bringing home 3 points when we play there.
It's so great. So April 26th, the 50th year celebration, August 16th, the OG Rowdies, October 4th, Modern Era night. But on both of those nights, the 16th and the 4th, player getting inducted. They're going to get inducted that night to the 75-10 club, right? So you guys will announce that before then, right?
Correct.
Who it's going to be?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, man, it's that's great. And I love is anybody cooler than Perry Vanderbeck? Like, I don't. Like, dude, this guy, I remember interviewing him the first time years ago. Ian and I were there, and he walked out, and Ian goes, that may be one of the coolest guys I ever talked to. And I go, I just thinking the same thing. And he's like, I used to hang out with Ron Diaz here. I used to do this. And then when we went to the Tampa Bay Sun event, Perry's shaking hands like he's the freaking president. Like, I did this, and I did this in 85. I was at this club, and I was like, this guy, he's one of one, man. There is nothing like, you can't miss him.
Listen, I consider Perry one of my close friends and a mentor, and I've known him for 15 years. And the one thing I can tell you, Jay, is every time I'm with him, there's a new story. He always has a new story, and he has so many contacts, and he's a great storyteller too.
Yeah.
What a great guy, right? Especially to have as part of our franchise, first player ever drafted out of high school into professional soccer domestically here in the United States, to have such a long career here, and then to stay here in this area. And he's still working with youth soccer and the future players, that are coming up through the ranks. And it's special to have him, a part of our club and associated with our club.
Right. I know a lot of the talk about the USL is, the promotion and relegation and all the talk with the US Open Cup and the Jägermeister Cup. Like, how exciting is it to know that there's so many different aspects now? And you and I speak about this a lot when we're talking about European soccer, of like the FA Cup and the Pokal. We just saw Bayer Leverkusen lose to a third-tier team, I think, in Germany yesterday.
Yep.
And like they were crying, like it's amazing. Leverkusen was undefeated last year in the Bundesliga. So, I mean, what is that like to be able to have, you know, a little bit, whether it's, you know, the promotion and relegation side coming over this side, but the cup competitions as well? Because you and I both know cup games are completely different than regular season games. You could have the same lineup. It does not matter. There's just something about games. It could be a 7-6 game. You just never know. What is that like to know that it's not just the standard, you know, regular season games, that there's just a lot of variables going on this season as well? It's
exciting, right? I mean, when I first joined the Rowdies back in 2010, you had league play and you had US Open Cup, right? Now you have league play, U.S. Open Cup, and now the Jägermeister Cup, which is the interleague rivalry, or the interleague tournament between League One and USL Championship. So it's an opportunity for the players to showcase their talents. It's an opportunity to win money at the end of the day for the club. Yeah. Opportunity to add trophies to the trophy case, and then it's also an opportunity for some of the guys that maybe fans on a regular basis don't see. There's other players who get playing time as well. So we're definitely excited about it. The draw for the US Open Cup, the round that we come into, is actually tomorrow afternoon. So we're excited to see who we get paired up with here in the next couple of weeks. So we're entering cup season, right? I think the goal every year is, you know, how do we win our regular season matches? How do we make sure that we take care of home field advantage? And then with these cups, we take them serious. Any type of competition that we're in, the guys on the roster and then the technical staff as well, they want to win, right? So it's a good opportunity for us to go out there and showcase what we have. And, you know, just like any other club, right, we're going for the treble. We'll see.
I love that. Treble. That would be, I mean, you want to talk about a season to remember. That would be where it's at. Before I let you go, so many of my pals, I've watched them on social media. I think you might have the best jerseys in the league right now, my friend. Those white ones are clean and crisp.
Hands down. There's no argument. I mean, I'll go up against anybody with that. Those kits are unreal. There was a lot of work put into them, and especially to have those come back during our 50th anniversary. Yeah, man. Right. And it speaks to our heritage. It speaks to our history. It speaks to the foundation that the guys like Rodney Marsh and Mike Connell and Perry Vanderbeck started back in the 70s in the club back then. So we're just excited, honored, and blessed to be wearing those, and we hope the fans get really excited for them. I will say one new thing this year in the team store is fans can get those kits customized, right?
Oh, yes.
They want to put the number on the back, put Recher on it, right? If they want to put the number on the back, put Vanderbeck on it. You can put modern era players, you can put former players, or you can put your own.
Is that the first year? Is that the first year you guys have done this?
Yes, this is the first year.
Oh, Ryan, this is a game changer, man. This is huge.
Cool. Yes.
Wow.
So you can buy your kit at the match, leave it at the front desk, tell them exactly, or at the checkout counter, tell them what you want on the back, and you can come back, around halftime, pick it up and put it on.
Brother, that is big. That is a big deal, man. That is going to help you guys grow, and there's going to be more and more Rowdies jerseys, because I know that was one thing that people asked me, like, what about jerseys and things like that? And it's different. It's with certain teams, certain leagues. I know how that is. Like, sometimes it's not as prevalent with certain divisions or whatever, but to do something like that, especially how nice they are, I think that's a huge boon. And you know what? Between me and you, and all of our listeners, obviously, I think that's one thing that we'll push over the next couple of months of get your Rowdies kit, get your name on the back. Because people want to do that, man. People look at like, how do you get that jersey? And I think I might be one of the only people that have a Rowdies, a Rays, a Bucks, and a Lightning jersey with their name on the back. And I wear that with such a sense of pride.
Yeah.
I love it so much, man. So, and I know a lot of fans are like that, man. A lot of sports fans are the same way. So I know here on the podcast, I will continue to let people know to go get those jerseys. They can get those kits. They're in the team store, right? You said?
Yep, they're in the team store, and you can also order them online. So if you just head to our website, rowdysoccer.com, hit the shop tab, you can go in, get your kit right now, and customize it.
God, man, that is amazing. You just go play around. It's a great Christmas gift. It's a great birthday gift, Hanukkah, whatever. You did something wrong and you got to sleep on the couch, go buy your wife a Rowdies kit. She's going to love it. size.
Okay.
They'll love it. Ryan Helfrick, president of our Tampa Bay Rowdies. Always appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you so much. We got everything right. I want to make sure we got all the info.
We're good.
We
We
always
appreciate
do,
you,
man.
Dave. Thanks for always covering us.
Of course, man. I love you guys, and I'll see you. I'll text you, but I'll see you next Saturday, man. I can't wait. It'll be like Christmas.
Sounds good, man. Looking
Thanks,
forward
pal.
to it. Appreciate you.
Buddy. See you, man. The one and only Ryan Helfrick, president of our Tampa Bay Rowdies. Get that jersey. Have you seen them? I gotta if I can find them. These white jerseys, these white kits are legit. Shop. I'm gonna go on the website here for you guys. Look at these white, the white with the spectrum on the front. You can kind of see it right here. Shop. Shop online. Here we go. Look at this. I'm doing this for you guys right here. All right, here we go. I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see it. Look at that, bro. I mean, come on. Stay in the know. The Bay Republic. You can't beat it. Look at those jerseys. The 2025 Rowdies anniversary kit, replica primary jersey. 2025 Rowdies anniversary kit, replica primary youth jersey. Amazing. Look at those things, man. Badass. And you can customize it. Can you do it on here? Oh, yes, bro. Oh, I mean, unbelievable. Go get you a jersey. Super affordable, too. I mean, jerseys like this. Listen, if you don't know, I get a bunch of soccer jerseys every single year. I get a new soccer jersey, a new soccer kit, and it's a lot. Those are not nearly as much as the ones that I get for Manchester United. They bleed me dry, United, those sons of guns. But yeah, you got to go check it out for sure. The Rowdies, rowdysoccer.com. Gotta love it. Rays right now, it looks like it's to be Jake Mangum just got a hit off of Skeens. Wow. Watch out now. Junior Cabanero grounds out to third. 0-0 game at the end of one. So there you go. Really, really good stuff there. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. Hold on. Where did you send it? They were like, did you get your Rowdies jersey? I'm like, I didn't get one. They're like, we sent it. I'm like, where did you send it? I gotta know. I gotta check it out. So there you go. But yeah, we love our Rowdies, man. Rowdysoccer.com, all the information there. Go get your kit, man. It's smooth looking. Kits are nice, man. They're smooth. Every time I wear mine, I get a compliment. So you should try to do the same again. April 26th, the 50-year celebration for the team. August 16th, the OG Rowdies, somebody get inducted into the 75-10 club. And then October 4th, Modern Era Night, another member of the modern team getting inducted into the 75-10 club. And they'll announce that before then. Then we'll go from there. We're going to talk some Buccaneer football to end the show today. The NFL meetings just wrapped up. And our guy Logan Robinson is going to join us on the program from Bucks Game Day, Sports Illustrated. And we will get, I'll check. The front. They're saying that they sent my jersey. I'll check the front desk. Check the front desk today. You never know. And once they do that, if they do that and they did send it, I will open it on the program tomorrow. Yeah, we should do a bunch of things like a reveal on the show. And the light's getting on the thing. Kathy, stop distracting me. I love you. All right, so here we go. I want to, get into a thing where like we're opening different things. Where like we see what John Gruden has done, getting all these people to send him stuff. If there's any high school, college teams that want to send me stuff, that will open them here on the Jay Recher podcast, we will do that too. That'd be pretty damn fun to be open up different hats and different jerseys and things like that. It'd be pretty badass. Logan Robinson is going to join us here in a bit. Bucks Game Day, Sports Illustrated. He does Knowles Game Day too, so we can ask him what Florida State is going to do this year after they had a rough season last season with Mike Norvell. I mean, DJ Uiagalelei was not the answer. I could have told you that before he even went to Florida State, but that's just the way it goes. Let's see. Some breaking news in the NBA world. Carmelo Anthony notified that he's been elected to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame class of 2025. One of the best modern scorers that we've seen. So damn tough, impossible to guard. Yeah, so well-deserved, Carmelo Anthony. That is for sure. More names will come out to the Naismith National Basketball Hall of Fame. And remember, it's not the NBA Hall of Fame. It's a little different. And people get lost in that a little bit because it's the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The Hockey Hall of Fame. It's not the NHL, the NBA, the NFL, or MLB. So there's a lot more that goes into it. But yeah, Carmelo Anthony, one of the most prolific scorers of the modern era. He was an absolute beast and just a handful. You don't believe me? Ask guys like LeBron James and just listen to some of the interviews from Kobe Bryant over the years. All right, let's bring him in. Let's talk some Buccaneers to wrap up the show today. Logan Robinson on the program. Bucks game day, no game day, bro. You got so many different things going on. I'm not even going to list them all. You just go check them out. Logan's Twitty. Go check him out. He's got a lot of great things going on. What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's going on, Jay? Good to see you as
Sure.
always. You do an incredible job, and I'm just appreciative of you invite me on here. Just got back from Palm Beach, and I'm sure we have a lot to discuss of the Bucks, a lot that Jason Light and Todd Bowles told us. So got a busy and fun season ahead for the Bucks in 2025.
Yeah, we'll start with Jason Light because he's the guy that he was speaking there, kind of standing up. What was the big kind of takeaway from the things that he said to the media?
Well, I think to point out, number one, everybody's kind of been curious of the addition of Hassan Reddick, and someone that I think everybody is looking forward to seeing a pass rusher that can disrupt, get to the backfield, and also to when he gets there, get strips, get the ball out, fumble recoveries, all that kind of stuff. Something that, didn't really see a ton from in the tenure from JTS. And then, Yaya Diaby's continuing to learn and grow better as a pass rusher himself. But, I think too, there were some question marks on maybe the character concerns. And that's something that was brought up from the media asking Jason on, what kind of person is coming into this locker room. And, he was asked to, who he mentioned of who he talked to, Harry Roseman. It was asked about that, picking his brain on, what to expect of Hassan Reddick coming in as a character and if there were any issues there. And didn't seem like that was really a conversation that had any link to it. I think to me, coming off from what Jason said, it seems like they got a guy that's hungry, is fired up to be in Tampa for this opportunity. And it's someone too, if you think about it, he will, if he can excel and do well, and this year he could really earn a big contract. So the Bucks are probably expecting a lot out of him, but too, they did say, they wouldn't be opposed to grabbing, someone at that edge position if they are of the caliber that they feel like is high on their board. Jason Light and company will go ahead and do so. But I think Hassan Reddick, some updates too as well from Chris Godwin on, how that recovery is going there and if expect them to be available in week 1. Todd Bowles also mentioned that as well. But I think that's one that I think points out to me out of all of them is Hassan Reddick, because I think he is going to play a big factor for what the Bucks want to do in 2025.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm hoping that they can get home with 4 and not, Todd Bowles likes to get creative with that blitz package. And it's a lot easier when you don't have to just live by that, when you can just sprinkle that in because you get home with 4. You can make sure that your corners aren't covering for as long. And I have zero concerns about Hassan Reddick because I look at the situation and I say, he got traded to the Jets. There was a miscommunication there. The Jets were an absolute dumpster fire. He's not going to come to the Buccaneers thinking that he's going to – it's a veteran-laden locker room, especially with Levante back and Mike back, and you're playing for a guy like Todd Bowles. And there's proof of concept. He did a 1-year deal before in Carolina. He was able to parlay that into a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. And if this guy does want a multi-year deal again, he's going to have to get on board and to be able to, be a good soldier for this team and pick up 10, 12, 15 sacks. Are you concerned at all with Hassan Reddick, or do you kind of just listen to what Jason has to say and say, hey, he's earned the benefit of the doubt? If he's not concerned, I'm not concerned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I listened to Jason, and, one thing that you could take away throughout definitely the last 2-3 years or further, they've done a good job of understanding what fits well in their locker room. Right. And I think that's something that will immediately, definitely with, the addition of Baker Mayfield, that has been huge for them, and the emphasis of building camaraderie, chemistry. Guys are hanging out with each other outside of the locker room, doing a lot of things. It just feels like a lot of these guys play for each other, where in the past a little bit, there were some turmoil and some previous guys that, it just wasn't the case. But right now, I hope that the locker room that is currently held right now, led by Baker, Levante David, Mike Evans, a lot of these guys, Antoine Winfield, that meshes well for a guy that might, there might be some concerns of that, but can be fixed. I think the Bucs just have so many leaders and guys that have been around in Tampa for so long to where that can be cleaned up. And just going off of the play from Haason Reddick, there's a lot to like. You want to have a guy that was a massive disruptor during those years. Last year was highly questionable just because of what was going on in the New York Jets. They had a lot of stuff going on. Let's just all be honest here. I mean, they had so many things filled with drama, and Reddick was, a little bit of a part of that. But, this is a different kind of place down in Tampa. And, you look at the New York teams with the Jets and the Giants, they just have not been able to figure things out for a long while. But where I feel comfortable at, if I'm going to pick a team, it's Tampa. And there's a lot of respect. And just speaking to some people too there in Palm Beach, Haason Reddick is someone that can be that disruptor for you on third downs where you need it. And that's something that Tampa has lacked at times. You have really good confidence in your inside there with Vita and Kalijah, and you've loved the growth. And you see that in Yaya Diaby as well. Now you match that in tandem with Reddick, and, you just see who could take more advantage of those opportunities. And like you were saying earlier, the way that you bring pressure with 4, it can really impact too on what your defensive backs need to do, which is also a big question mark on what they're going to want to do in this year's upcoming NFL draft.
Yeah, no doubt. And, let's go before we get to bowls. Let's go to that. Where do you think, like, if they have their druthers, like, let's say Jihad Campbell's there, let's say Will Johnson's there, let's say they get their pick of that later pass rusher. Obviously, Carter's not going to be there, but let's say they have their pick of Green or Ezeraku or James Pierce or any of these guys, or, if they had their pick, and let's say every team was, Jackson Dart goes at 12, and you know what I mean, 3 running backs go, or, you've seen these mock drafts that are nuts. But let's say they have their because we know corner is a spot, we know interior linebacker, and we know pass rush. Those are 3 of, if not the 3 biggest positions of need. Who do you think they go with? Is it a player thing? Is it a position thing? What do you think?
To me, like you were just naming there, priority cornerback, linebacker. You got to figure out how you fill the hole of Levante David. This is expected to be his last year in the league coming up. And then, you're trying to figure out your edge room, bringing in a guy that's young. You had Chris Braswell drafted last year from Alabama, and you saw some growth there at the end of the season. Just such a smaller guy, and they've got to figure out a way to put some size on him. And, he has natural gift because he's got that speed with the size. But whenever they do try to add size to him, I'm just interested to see how that impacts him as a significant pass rusher. But I would lean towards whatever is best available, and I think it's going to be on the defensive side of the ball. We talked with both Jason Todd as well, but Jason mentioned, if there is an offensive player there and we feel like he's very capable of doing things for us where we can find success, even though that they are going to be returning practically their entire starting unit on the offensive side of the ball, we still will go after an offensive player. I just don't think that's much of an attraction to the Buccaneers, at least in the first round to them, unless they go wide receiver, which, there are definitely some, storylines and question marks going into this next season of Chris Godwin's, rehab and how successful that's going to look, and, the future of Mike Evans and the sophomore season of Jalen McMillan. But I think it's going to stay definitely on the defensive side of the ball. I think Jihad Campbell is someone that I'm sure Todd Bowles is probably salivating a little bit of what he could probably do in a lot of those blitz packages and sending him and helping with that pass rush. And, it's someone that's very versatile and can do a lot of things for you with the experience that he has. And then too, if they want to run in the edge room, you still have Haason Reddick there. Like I was just mentioned there, you have Braswell, you got Yaya Diaby. JTS is off and going to the Cleveland Browns, but you could still work and develop a guy there. And I questioned the pickup of Chris Braswell last year just because I knew that he was going to be a guy that you're going to work with and develop the next few years. And so I don't think it should be much of a shock that he wasn't a crazy impactful player for you last year, but it is still going to take 2 to 3 years to get him going, which they did the same thing too with JTS.
Right.
And it just feels sort of the same theme between those two players. And I think they need a guy that can be almost, an immediate impactful player, but someone that can find their strides earlier in their rookie season. And, if that person is available for them in the first round, they will certainly go after them. But I don't think we have to worry about Jason Light going after an offensive lineman, even though he loves those offensive linemen. We don't have to worry about that happening. They got their offensive line. They got Bredesen back. Graham Barton showed some signs to them as well. And I think Baker's pretty happy with his tackles as well.
Yeah, he loves those guys for sure. What about Todd Bowles being able to sit there and be able to hear what he had to say about everything? I love that he's bringing in a guy to take care of the game management. I feel like for all the things that people don't like about Todd Bowles, this is a guy that's been really open to change. He's been open to, adjustments. And for, I feel like older guys, they get, the short end of the stick when they say, oh, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I look at college basketball and I see Bruce Pearl, I see him there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, he does a pretty good job. And Kelvin Sampson, 2 of the 4 coaches in the Final Four. And, Tom Izzo is in the Elite 8 there. And I look at Todd Bowles and, I was one of the more concerned people here in the Tampa Bay area because half of my family are Jets fans. And I saw that dumpster fire and how he didn't make adjustments and he was stubborn and he never made any changes. Well, now, Todd has made changes, man. He's made changes to his coaching staff. He's bringing in a game management guy. He went away from Ryan Neal. He went away from JTS. He brought in different players. He went away from Devin White, right? He went to KJ Britt. So I feel like he's getting better, and he's being more open-minded to adjustments. What do you think his mindset is going into the season? What do you think about some of the decisions he's made to try to not just make himself better, the staff better, but the team better as a whole?
Yeah. Well, I think whenever he called out the team and saying that, Ignite, I believe it was Ignite some more fire, or having the killer instinct. That's
killer
exactly
instinct. Yeah.
Killer instinct is something that I agree with him on in the regard of in some games. And we did see that in a handful of them last year where, the Bucks almost got too comfortable in games or even going into games, maybe even started in practices. And I it's crazy. I cover on the college side, covering Florida State. So we had a lot of access and you could see every practice and you could see it all the way throughout. And so you could certainly understand of the mentality and how the energy looked going into a game on Saturdays, where of course here in Tampa, we're not able to do that. We get a little bit of an eye of some warm-ups and some stretches, and that's about it. But, I could just see a little bit of emphasis of how these guys would be looking on some of these games and going into Sundays and just getting a little bit relaxed, certainly after finding a momentum swing and getting a winning streak going. It would kind of ease up a tiny bit. And, when this team is hungry, though, you see a whole different team. You see a top 5, top 3 NFC team. And that's something that excites you a ton. I think that's something that not only, Todd Bowles is calling out the team saying there needs to have a better killer instinct, but it goes to the head coach as well, to where that is locked down on every Sunday. You cannot overlook your opponent. That's something that happened, I feel like, quite a bit, and that's happened the last few years on a consistent basis with a team with so much talent that there shouldn't be a thing of that happening. And I thought that was something that stood out to me from Bowles, and someone too of a coach that is continuing to learn and get better and try to improve himself. And also too, he noted, at first, since arriving in the Bucks, but also to his time with the Jets, he felt like he needed to be so hands-on everywhere and so many different parts of the team. Now he said he's allowed for his position coaches to do a lot more, be hands off and just control what I can control and where he feels like he fits best with his defensive philosophy and teaching and coaching on in that regard and getting ready and prepared for Sundays. So that's something that I think, Todd is still growing as a coach, and it's something that we'll see him hopefully improve on with the new addition that he's made in his coaching staff.
Yeah, and I hope that they find a way to, wherever they do, is to get more turnovers. That's going to be paramount. Yeah. It seems like he has a type. I think you've learned over the years, Jason Light is a type when it comes to offensive linemen. Todd Bowles has a type when it comes to secondary guys, right? He'll take smaller safeties, bigger corners. I don't know if that's necessarily conducive to coming away with turnovers. I'm hoping that he finds like, all right, take the guy that's 6'1" instead of 6'3" because he's a ball hawk, right? I'm hoping that there's something when it comes to that aspect because, you look at this team and they've had their ups and downs, 2 swoons in the middle of the season the last 2 years. They find a way to bounce back and be able to win enough games to win the division. But I still feel like there's room to grow on the defensive side of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exciting to see what they do as far as putting their efforts into that. I want to ask you, Florida State, what is your take on what they're looking like this year? I was so far out on the DJ acquisition to bring him in. I was like, dude, we just watched this guy. Like, I understand you lose so many players to the draft and you have such a crazy season where you go undefeated and then Jordan Travis gets hurt and then you just get smoked by Georgia. I don't blame them. I don't take anything away from that season because of what happened in that bowl game. But the very next year you have to like come right back and then you lose the game overseas and DJ's there. Midway through the season, it's just like, let's just get to 2025 for the Noles. Let's just put it in the past. I think they're more like the team 2 years ago than they were the team last year. What's the optimism? What's your focus on this year when it comes to this team? Because everybody's going to look at Norvell and go, all right, man, kind of gave you a little bit of a pass last year, but you got to show me something here in 25. It doesn't have to be back maybe in the college football playoff, but you got to be knocking on the door and show people like I'm building this thing back up.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now they're in spring camp, and there is 2 new coordinators with Gus Malzahn coming on the offensive side of the ball and Tony White coming from Nebraska, a DC that's highly respected. And of course, the same thing has gone for Gus Malzahn, leaving UCF, let the play calling duties go away. Then he took them back. Just a lot of that was going on there in the Knights over there in Orlando. And, they have a new quarterback, and you go from DJU and you go over now to Thomas Castellanos, who's, an extrovert guy that's going to talk, be chatty and chirpy, which I love. I like a quarterback that has confidence, and that's something that I don't think DJ, was really going to be a guy to really be your leader. And it's hard to do that for a quarterback in 1 year.
No, you're right.
For a guy like
You're
DJ,
right.
that's just not going to happen. He just wasn't that type of person and wasn't going to be. And I just don't feel like that fits the Florida State mojo, and I don't know.
I don't know if that fits any quarter. You know what I mean?
It shouldn't. Yeah,
like Riley Leonard. We see all these. We see Will Howard. Like so. Now this is the new age we live in, man. Like you can't just be like, oh, I didn't go through the battles with these guys for 3 years. I didn't work my way up from the freaking scout team. Or it's like, dude, if you can help us win, I don't give a crap. Get in here, start barking orders. And DJ he never had that. And I just, we got to start looking at, we bring up a good point, right? We bring up a good point where maybe in years past, these guys have had to tiptoe their way. You don't want to step on any toes, but Logan, now with the way that is with NIL, with transfer portal, like it's going to be a little bit like pro ball. It's going to be like, all right, well, you're the quarterback, dude. Even though you haven't been here the last 3 years, here's the reins. Lead the way you lead, because if not, you're not going to be successful.
No. And I don't need you to be a Shedeur Sanders. I don't need you to be all crazy. Like that's just not the case. But, you go back to a guy like Jameis Winston, who owned the locker room as a true freshman coming in, and EJ Manuel was there beforehand, and so EJ he sat behind EJ Manuel, of course, but he was a guy that a lot of the locker room was attracted to, but he learned a lot from EJ Manuel. But Jameis found success, of course, as well, and doing his thing now and getting his opportunities in the league. But going now all the way into 2025, Mike Norvell goes 2-10 the previous season, absolute fallout, no offensive anything. You and I could have played on the offensive side of the ball, and maybe you had found some success. I mean, it was just god awful. It was embarrassing to watch. It was really hard to cover on our end because we were just saying the same thing over and over again. So like you mentioned, whenever fans were saying, just get me to 2025, we were in the same boat because there was just nothing. There was no improvements. There was nothing to be really looking forward to on the next Saturday. And, this team would show you some things and practices on throughout the week. And then on Saturdays, it just completely fall off. Now you brought in 2 new coordinators, a whole ton of new coaching staff. The roster has just been fully revamped. And now Florida State kicks off the season against Alabama in a newly renovated Doak Campbell Stadium. So a lot of eyes are going to be on this team, and a lot of pressure is on these new coordinators. And just going off of some things, Florida State just actually had their first scrimmage, and talking with Gus Malzahn, they're still working on building physicality, which is something that was completely missed last year from some of their veterans that fell off from the previous year of 2023 when they found that success going 13-0 before that bowl game against Georgia. There's just got to be a complete turnaround, and I'm not entirely sure of what that might entail. I think you've got to win 8 wins at Florida State to feel secure after the season that you had. But Mike Norvell is not going to be calling plays. It's now up to Gus Malzahn. Mike has moved into a CEO role, which I think is going to do very well, but I think it's going to take – it's taken him a little while to adjust to that, and it's hard for him to do so when you are an offensive mind like he is, and to step away. But I do think he was already trying to be a CEO role beforehand, and that distracted him in a lot of ways, and also distracted him on the expectations that he thought this team was going to be in 2024. So we'll see what happens. It's going to rely a lot on Thomas Castellanos and what this offensive line can do. And I think, FSU fans are just kind of sitting here waiting and trying to find scoop and nuggets that they can really feel that they can rely on. It's just hard to do that after you have a season that you did, and Mike Norvell hyping up the team as he did.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Castellanos coming in and step on people's toes, buddy. Already looking at the week 1 schedule: Kansas State at Iowa State and Ireland. That's going to be freaking nuts.
Oh, wow.
Let's see some of the other big matchups. Friday, we have Auburn and Baylor. Georgia Tech travels to Colorado to take on the Buffaloes. Florida's taking on LIU. That don't matter. Alabama, Florida State. That's LSU. Clemson's another one. Tennessee and Syracuse. Watch out for Syracuse this year. Fran Brown, he's out there trying to let and they're playing that game at in Atlanta, and Texas and Ohio State. I mean, week 1 is going to be crazy next year. I don't know, USF, they take on Boise State. So, and then South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, Miami, TCU, North Carolina. I can't wait for week 1 of college football. Before I let you go, what do you think the top 5, maybe not in order, but how do you think those top 3 picks are going to shake out? 3-4 picks in the NFL draft. Do you think the Titans and Browns take a quarterback? Do you think the Giants take Shador if he's there, even though they just signed Jameis and Russell? What do you think?
Man, oh man. See, now, like we were just talking about, I brought up Jameis. I'm a big Jameis guy. I know for y'all in Tampa, because I just moved here 2 years ago, Jameis was not, of course, as liked because, your number 1 pick, projected to do a lot of things.
No, but he was, here's the thing.
Yeah.
He was really good to a lot of us here in the media. So for all the things that he did wrong, that's why we were so, I was in the press area, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, no matter what Jameis has done, you know what I mean? He's always been great to me, and he's always been great to the media for the most part. And then he's like, 30 for 30, you need to check your sheet. And I'm like, Jameis, why did you say that? Like, don't say that, because he was just so nice to me, and his family was so great to me. So it's funny because I love Jameis. I met EJ Manuel a couple times. He was awesome. And my favorite player growing up was Charlie Ward. I loved him. He was the best. I'm a big Knicks fan, so he was a point guard for the Knicks. So I love that dude. Jameis is certainly sorry to cut you off, but go ahead.
No, you're good. I just want to mention Jameis because that was big news for him going up there to the Giants, and that impacts what they're projecting to do, because they also bring in Russell Wilson, which is going to be a very, very interesting quarterback room. But I still wouldn't be shocked that they draft a quarterback. I just don't understand. It's the Giants too. Like I was just saying earlier, the Giants, the Jets. I don't trust anything that any of those 2 franchises and front offices are doing at all. So I have no understanding what kind of game plan they might be having. But to me, I thought that maybe you bring in Jameis, then you go and you draft a guy at the quarterback position, and kind of get some kind of bridge going there, whatever. Right. Wait till that quarterback's ready to go. But nowadays, first round quarterbacks, unless that class last year, like Jaden Daniels, that is a first round quarterback, top 3 pick. Absolutely. I just don't know if these quarterbacks are just really that talented to do so. I think there's some good upside there with Cam Ward. I have a lot of question marks about Shador Sanders on the field and off the field. A lot of things that, who knows what might be coming out. But, just hearing some things in Colorado, I don't have a whole ton of trust in the leadership capabilities of a Shador Sanders. And Tennessee now with Vrabel, like I'm not a Patriots fan. I'm a Steelers guy at heart. So, but I like Vrabel as a coach, and I think that's exactly what the Patriots needed last year. They just wanted to give a chance to their former coach, and that's fine. But you had to go in there. You should have gotten Vrabel a year ago, anyways. But I'm really interested in seeing where does Travis Hunter go. Is he a guy that you match in there at New England with Drake May? I think that's really an attractive spot for them. But do they go offensive line to protect Drake May, which they need to do? There's so many different storylines here, and you've got Liam Cohen there picking at number 5. What do they do at the Jaguars position? They've got a lot of answers or a lot of question marks that they've got to go in and figure out themselves. But I'm sure a lot of predication will be on the offensive side of the ball for Liam Cohen and trying to build the talent that he previously had a lot with Baker Mayfield, and he was spoiled. I think he's going to find out he was really spoiled in Tampa with the talent that he had. So I think it's going to be fun. Then you got the Las Vegas Raiders that need to be aggressive as well. I'm looking for this is going to be a really fun NFL draft to cover, and it also too the Bucks. Where do they end up picking?
Yeah.
And could they trade where they want to go? We don't see a ton of that with Jason Light, but you got to be aggressive when you need to, and definitely when there's someone that you feel like can be a game changer for you, and that kind of talent is really usually in the first round itself.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I feel like there's somehow, some way Shador's going to get his way to Vegas. Brady's there. They get along. They have a relationship. He's close to his dad. I feel like, he might slip a little bit, and I think that's where he goes. I feel like the Giants, by signing both those guys, I think they reserve the right to look at a quarterback next year. I really think they're looking at Arch Manning and going like, that could be our guy, follow in your uncle's footsteps. Maybe you bring Jameis back for another year. And then that spot at 3, maybe you trade out with Oakland. Maybe you trade out with Oakland, and then you go get, a Graham, or you get, I wouldn't say Carter because they have Thibodeau, and they just, traded for Brian Burns last year. So maybe the Giants are in a place where they draft Travis Hunter, right? Like I think maybe that type of thing might work where Shador, maybe they trade up, Travis Hunter falls. It's going to be tough though. We'll go from there, and keep an eye on Ashton Genty too. I think he's another guy, that running back. That could be a guy. Jacksonville, if they want to upset the apple cart a little bit, I know they have Travis Etienne, but maybe they go with Ashton Genty and they look at what Bucky Irving was able to do last year, and maybe that's what Jacksonville does.
Yeah. You never know. I know you got to get me out of here, but I have a quick question.
No, yeah, go ahead.
Still learning the NHL, still getting down the Lightning. I go to a lot of Lightning games now. Like I said, just moved here, almost 2 years ago now, but love going to Lightning games. How far do you think the Lightning are going to be able to make it? Because they're only just a few wins away from officially making it into the playoffs.
Yeah. So right now, as we stand, when we look at the standing, it's going to be huge when it comes to home ice advantage for the Lightning, right? So right now, Toronto, Lightning, Panthers, 74 games played. They got 8 games left. 94 for the Leafs, 93 for the Lightning, 92 for the Panthers. So if they don't get the number 1 seed in the division, they'll get the 2 seed, and they'll host the 3 seed in the first round of the playoffs, which is paramount. Whether it's the 2 seed or the 1 seed, you're going to have home ice for the first round of the playoffs, and that is what this team needs. They're 27-8-2 at home. They're 17-17-3 on the road. But for me, I look at the most teams, and that would worry me. It does concern me slightly, but it's a different game in the playoffs because it's a lot tighter. It's a lot more checking. There's a lot less room to move around. And the most important position in any of the 4 major sports, outside of maybe, even you could say about quarterback, but we've seen teams with, not great quarterbacks win. You're not going to win unless you have a good goalie. Just the way it goes. Like, you affect the entire game. You could get outshot 50-15, but you can win 1-0 because you have a better goalie. So I think they can go all the way. My whole thing is that they have Isaac Howard sitting there, the kid from Michigan State, who is a Hobie Baker finalist for, kind of the equivalent of the Heisman for college hockey. And they need to sign him this year, or he's going to go back to school next year. And if he goes back to school next year, and I don't think he is, then there'll be a problem, and they risk losing him. You don't want to do that. You also don't want to sign him, put him in the minor leagues, because he doesn't want to do that, because he's looking at some of the other guys that he played with. Ryan Leonard with the Capitals, looking at Gabe Perreault with the Rangers. Leonard made his debut last night. Perreault will make his debut tonight for the Rangers. He's like, I played with those guys. I'm just as good, if not better than those guys. I want to be on the Lightning. I don't want to go to the minors, because if he goes to the minors this year, he can't play in the playoffs.
Okay.
So I think that's what's taking so long. And then also with the Lightning, they're so up close to the salary cap too. So they have to also be cognizant of can't go over the salary cap. So it's weird how they adjust the numbers. It's computed on a daily basis. So they kind of like put money into a bucket pretty much every day for everybody that's on your roster. And maybe for the last couple of games, you can take one of your guys that isn't playing, put him in the minors, and then use that money to bring him in. I think he's the game changer. He's that good. He can possibly play with the top 6 guys. But if not, then he can be a factor, on that third line. But yeah, when you have Victor Hedman and Andrei Vasilevsky, Nikita Kucherov, Gensel, and Point, like you have just as good a chance as anybody out there because the playoffs are a different animal. And you look at these teams, Washington's had a great regular season, but outside of Ovechkin, not many guys are familiar with long postseason runs. So they have just as good a chance as anybody. And there's no like clear-cut dominant team this year. And if you're going to bet on a goalie to win you 4 games out of 7, I mean, even though Connor Hellebuck's going to win the Vezina this year for the best goalie, I don't know if there's any GM in the league that wouldn't say, hey, I want to take 88. When you have him, for as long as you got him between the pipes, man, you got a chance to win.
It's fun, man. Going to those games and seeing him make those saves, whew, it's just it's exhilarating. And I know last year was a little bit of a letdown, but this year I'm hoping that a run can be made and go attend there in Emily Arena. It's so much. It's just it's a different kind of environment. I feel like too, definitely with the Bucks being the Rays getting into their season, and then too the Bucks being out. It's from what I've learned living here. Lightning fans, man, it's crazy. I mean, they eat up content like crazy, and it's just been fun to watch. And I love hockey. I love playoff hockey in general. I used to watch with my dad, and I didn't know what the heck was going on, but he loved it, so I loved it. So to be here in a town that has a very successful team, I'm excited for it. So I just wanted to pick your brain. And
I mean, playoff hockey is like, and I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. I've been very fortunate. Like I covered the national championship game when it was here, Clemson, Alabama. I was in the building when the Buccaneers were in the Super Bowl, when they won the Super Bowl. There's just nothing like playoff hockey. Like there's just it's like the building shakes. Like it's just it's nonstop. It's physical. It's 60 minutes of sitting on your hands. Like it's like you're freaking out, dude. It's unbelievable. And listen, I don't know if you can compare to like the tradition of every Saturday when it comes to college football, or the height of the heights of the NFL and the eyeballs and the Super Bowl and things like that. But playoff hockey is just it's so much different than the regular season. And then when you're in the building, bro, sometimes it sounds kind of weird, but sometimes when I'm in the arena, and I do this especially in the playoffs, is like I just close my eyes for like 30 seconds and I just feel the energy. And it sounds cliche and it sounds so corny, bro, but if you're a sports fan, like that's what you want to be able to experience. And playoff hockey, words don't even have to be said. You feel that energy. And when your team, as you alluded to, when your team is good, it's just like you get a chance to write history. You know what I mean? Like you get an opportunity to be like, hey, we run the roosts here. So I love the question, man. And I'm glad that you're part of Bolts Nation. He is Logan Robinson, Knowles Game Day, Bucks Game Day, UFC Knockout, Mavericks SI, Commanders SI. Here, the Spear host. He does it all. Logan's Twitty on Twitter. Go check him out. Logan B. Robinson. You should just rock with the middle initial, man?
I am. I don't know why I have it out there. I don't really know. I just sticks on Twitter well. I think it looks aesthetically pleasing, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm keeping the B out there. The B out there.
I like it. Logan B. Robinson. And then just go by LBR. That's one, man.
That's my email. So
LBR, the one and only LBR. It's been a lot of fun, Logan. We'll do it again soon, man. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week.
Jay, I appreciate you having me. You kill it. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, pal. Great stuff there, man. He is all over. We're talking about the new age of media and guys that are doing a little bit of everything. Logan is that guy. Go check him out. He's got his hands in so many different things. All right. A big thank you to all of our guests today. What a freaking show. Corey Braun, USF ace, legit. Denard Span, one of my best friends. Love him to death. Ryan Helfrick, the president of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Logan Robinson, SI, Bucks, Knowles, everything. He is all over it. Tomorrow on the program, Brady North, Rays assistant batting coach. Ed Encina, from the Tampa Bay Times. No Erlinson today. He'll be back tomorrow. He's actually at the game today watching Paul Skeens. Pirates up 1-0 over the Rays. And working on Eric Kaufman as well from Joe Bucks fans. So lots of irons in the fire. Irons in the fire. Irons in the fire. Beckles and Recher podcast coming up at 3 o'clock today. So I got to get my happy ass out of here so I can go hang out with the fellas. And yeah, we'll go from there. I love you all. Follow me on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok. I am everywhere. Like and subscribe as well. Anything else? Oh, that's it. Share this, man. Subscribe. We got big things in the works. Have some conversations coming up here in the next couple of days. Yeah, big things coming for your guy. So I love you all. We'll see you tomorrow at noon right here on the J Recher podcast. I am gone.